everyone, pull up a chair and get comfy.
Oh, girl, have we got stories to tell you all. The Never Alone podcast is about to begin, and you don't want to miss a minute.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Iris Fisher-Smith with my Never Alone podcast, here again with my lovely co-host, Karen Hearth Witty, my childhood friend. We are really enjoying these segments of getting together and sharing family stories and life stories and history and bringing on some very special, guests periodically. We're having a ball. We hope you're enjoying watching the segments with us. Tonight's segment, we're going to be talking about something that's pertinent to every single generation that has ever been known to man, is finding ourselves. And in my book, Never Alone, that I'm talking about here, I have a chapter 12, where I'm talking about I didn't know who I was at 13, 14 years old. And so I'd like to open by reading a little bit of that. This is from chapter 12 of my book, Never Alone. And chapter 12, I called it The Wonder Years. That's the title of the chapter. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs from that, and then we'll take it from there. How's that sound, Karen?
I love it. I love this chapter. So this is great.
Yeah, it was a fun chapter. So I entitled this chapter The Wonder Years because it was a wonder I had so many people who cared for me, and it was funny that I could never really see it. I had Karen, who's right here, and her mother Carol, my friend Linda and her mother, my friend Sharon, her mother, and so many more. I was so blessed with so many people. Still, I found myself asking the question, who am I? And how many teens, all through history, in every generation, ask the same question. Who am I? Who am I going to become? What's it going to be like? It didn't seem enough that God's provision of support and guidance would be enough to bring me a confidence and peace that would sustain me. No matter how many people He sent me at the time to love and support me, I couldn't see that I was worthy of it all, that there were reasons He blessed me so. Because of all the medical issues that I had a poor self-image. That's why I was struggling at the time. And I often found myself comparing my looks, not only with my older sister, but with so many other people. And it would take decades of love and affirmation to finally accept myself for who I was and that it was okay. It didn't seem possible. Was I worthy of all that love? What do you think, Karen? You remember what it was like back then for me.
I do. And again, reading the book was eye-opening to me because you were a third child and I'm a first. You were like the big sister to me, but I was the little sister. So, and there's enough of age difference that when you were searching, I was just super intrigued and impressed because you were cool and older. And never did I know that you struggled with that really, which is really interesting and cool in a way because you were just fun. And I don't know, I never ever would have guessed that you felt that way all those years. So thinking about what you're talking about. Yeah. I know it has to be, but I have seen and talked to other people who had very strong other family members, and there was definitely pressure in comparison when you have siblings, and that does happen. So I can understand now looking back that you would have maybe done that to yourself, and then not maybe being able to keep up with everybody. And I've experienced that with my own kids, one child not being able to keep up and then comparing and then feeling a bit left out or feeling like they're not cutting it. So tell me a little bit more about that with your older siblings.
Well, at the time, like I talked about in the book, we've mentioned it in other segments, when I was 8 years old, I'll just repeat for a moment here, I'll just revisit this. I had a burst appendix and it was left undiagnosed way too long, and they actually had pronounced me dead for a few moments, and then I was in a coma for over a month. I had to learn to walk and talk again. I ended up having a chronic bounce in my step to compensate for a limp. I had a whole host of health issues, and it's funny that you should say that you didn't see it because a lot of people didn't. And I found a way, you find a way to hide it, and I hid it well. Because of peer pressure, if nothing else. I found myself, I'm sorry?
You were also athletic. So I think that you actually, even though you felt like, even though it was hard for you, I think you excelled a lot more than you realized you did. I think you compensated beautifully. I think you had, really good, not to get too crazy, but muscle and core strength. So you definitely overcompensated. And,
Yeah.
you say the bounce in your step. I always just thought it was because you were athletic. I had no idea. So, yeah.
I needed a chronic pogo stick, you know? Remember those?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have pogo sticks. I love them. Yes. Could you imagine trying it
Anyway,
now?
so
Oh.
yeah, so anyway, to answer your question, I had an older sister who was about 7 years older than me, and she
Mm,
was
a
beautiful. She
lot.
was very pretty, she was popular, she was very healthy. There was so much about her that I envied. And you know something, I didn't realize until years later that she actually envied me. And I said to her, "You're
Mm,
kidding. You envied me? What did I was just the plain one who was kind of tomboyish, who didn't wear a lot of makeup. She did. And I said, "Well, what were you jealous of?" And she said, "I was jealous because you were very content and you were
yeah.
very happy where you were. She said you didn't realize it, but you were very confident and you were
Yeah.
laid back and you just were content just to be." And still inside I still was trying to figure out who I was, because when you have disabilities as a child, it isn't, I mean, as teens anyway,
Mm,
you're trying to figure out who you are, right? But
yep.
you add disabilities to the mix and, chronic illness that you're fighting, it
Yep.
makes it tougher. However, I did have funny parents who were very social and humorous, like I've mentioned in other segments, and their help to me was, just go have fun. Do
Yeah.
the very best that you can. My mother was always saying to me, do the very, very best that you can, because you can't be anything else. This is who you are. This is the
Yeah.
way God made you, you know?
Yep.
And so I had so many mentors that were encouraging me at the time. And,
Um,
and it's interesting because I almost felt like God knew that I needed that, because throughout my entire life, I always had people encouraging me and, kind of almost like cheerleaders saying, come on,
yeah.
you can do it. But you know what that
Right.
caused me to do? It caused me to do it for others. And now,
Oh, interesting.
today, as an older woman, being a grandmother, running into all these people that are younger than me in their 30s and 40s, now I have an opportunity to say, you know what, you can do this. It's okay. You know,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is who you are. You can't be anything different, you know. And I think that's why my
I
book
love
has
that.
caught on, because it talks
Yeah.
about that. It talks about being who you are. And when you can be who you are like that and you're relaxed in who you are, guess what? You can be a better friend to someone else, you know? Now
Right.
you're not putting
Yeah.
on airs,
Well, I
right?
think. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's our job as parents. My oldest, as you know, was disabled and she didn't know any different. And I think that she felt profoundly loved, and I suspect you felt profoundly loved. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
makes a huge difference in the world, knowing you're loved and supported. Circling
Oh,
back
yeah.
just a smidge, what you're leaving out a little bit and just in a different way is that, your older sister, I mean, 7 years, and she was a little bit of, I don't want to say a bombshell, but she was stunning, like from a distance. So I think
She
for
was
her, I
gorgeous.
suspect that she was gorgeous, but she was curved, she was stunning. And I think what happens is from a young age for women, if that's how people see you, your perception of yourself is just how you appear. And it's not always a great journey. So I
And it's
suspect
funny.
it was fun to hear her talk about thinking you were content. I love that.
Yeah, and it's funny because she didn't have a lot of confidence. I had more
No,
confidence
I
than
bet.
she did. And, she was
Hmm.
always in the mirror trying to do her makeup just right. And, she just, for some, I mean, in a family of children, when you have siblings, everybody's
Yeah.
different. She
Hmm.
took after the Italian side more. She looked very Italian. She was
Yeah.
darker. Everybody always said that about her. And I took after the Russian side. I definitely look like the
Yeah.
Russian side of my family, my mother, my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I even have the bone density to prove it. The Russians have good bone density.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
God I
that's
got
so
something that's
funny.
right.
I know.
You know,
That's a good thing. Bone density. I love it. Yeah. No,
I
it's
proved
true.
it
That's very
a couple of weeks ago, Karen. I don't know if I told you this. I went to Great
oh,
Wolf Lodge with my
wonderful.
grandchildren, you know, and
Ah,
I went to go to the ladies' room. And you know how Great Wolf Lodge, have you ever been there?
it's a water park, isn't it?
It's basically a big water park indoors. Anyway, so I
Mm-hmm.
went to go to the
Slippery floor?
ladies' room. Yeah, I went to go to the ladies' room and it was soaking wet. And I didn't have
Yeah.
anything on my feet. And I didn't think about it.
Oh,
And before I knew, I went flying, like in that movie Home Alone, where the guy went flying and
Oh,
landed right
geez.
on his
Yeah,
back.
with the speed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Too
I
bad.
landed so hard and I banged my head. And do you know, a lot of people might have broke their hip, their femur, especially at my age.
Hmm.
I broke nothing. I was thrown out of kilter a little bit.
Good
I
bone
had to go to the
density.
chiropractor. But
Hmm.
I remember my mother, she was the same way. You could bounce her off the sidewalk and she wasn't going to break anything.
That's great. Yeah, strong bones. That's super. That's too funny. Nice. Yeah. Well, we lived
But
in
there
a
was,
time too.
yeah,
Nope, guys, I was gonna say we were living through a time, and I think you're talking about the 70s, which I think is interesting too. So that was a
yeah,
whole very, very like impactful generation. So style and things that were going on. So now you're watching everybody pay attention to their looks and all the style, and it's a little more concentration on looks than there should be.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember the bell-bottom jeans and hip
Yeah.
hugger jeans? Back then, I
Oh
was
my
so
gosh,
thin.
yeah.
I could wear that stuff and look good. There's no way I could wear hip hugger jeans now,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'd die. It would feel terrible, like suck it in.
like
My
a girdle.
gosh. I know, really. Give me a onesie. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. The styles are back though. The kids went off to school today. I don't
Yeah,
know about your grandkids. My guys started today and took
yeah,
Eden shopping and she says, Geej, I'm gonna get what she called them? She called them below low rider, low waist. I'm like, oh no, but she loved, they got the low waist again and the smock tops. Oh my gosh, it's all 70s. So you don't quite have that, not until the kids get a little bit older. So she
yeah,
literally had a smock top on. Remember when we had smock tops and bell bottoms? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
the hip hugger jeans back then, that's what they were called. What do they call them now?
She called them low rider or low waist. Like it depends on the store that you go to. I'm like, low rider doesn't sound great to me either. But
What happened to
yeah,
hip hugger?
I know hip hugger sounds good. I don't know, but it's funny.
Yeah.
So, but
My
she was trying
grandchildren,
to be
yeah, my grandchildren are 5 and 3, so they're not
good.
into that
Hip
yet.
huggers
I
for
mean,
them.
they're into some style, but not to that degree
Yeah,
yet.
too funny. I love it. That's great.
Hmm.
Yeah, we had huggers, bell bottoms. We had what else did we had? So a lot of jeans. I'm trying to think. Hair was
Well,
super long and straight long hair.
yeah, yep. Do
Yeah.
you remember, this was my least favorite thing in the whole world, the fishnet stockings that you would put on, and there was no insulation on them, and you were out in Boston weather in the middle of winter waiting for the school bus with these
Uh-huh.
fishnet stockings freezing your legs off. But they were
You
stylish,
are,
they
yeah,
looked nice.
yeah. I wasn't old enough to wear them. Isn't that funny? I never got to
Yeah.
wear the fishnets. So you were
Well,
just
you
enough.
didn't miss
So you would have been
anything.
high and I was still elementary school. Yeah, but it was pretty cool looking to me. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you didn't miss anything with that one. That was, I couldn't understand them. It was basically like wearing fishnets. That's why they call
Yeah,
it.
I know. I know. It's
We
so
used to
funny.
freeze
Fishnet
our
stocking.
brushes off.
I love that you wore them though. That's a riot. Had no idea that you wore those. That's so funny.
Yeah, yeah.
What else?
And
I'm trying to
as
think of any
teens,
ones.
well, I was just going to say, as teens, I just wanted to circle back for 1 second. As teens, we were always looking for role models, as teens are
Hmm.
today. That's why I feel like on television, it's so important to have, role models that are really good on
Hmm.
television, that
Right.
express good character and,
Yeah.
integrity and this business of caring for one another that we've talked about so many times in so many different
Yeah.
segments. But our TV shows back then did express that. It did.
Yep.
It
I
was
think
starting to
so.
shift a little bit, but yeah, it did. It was a lot about, still it was a lot of the shows were still about home, family,
Yep.
integrity,
Yeah.
and thinking about one another. And a lot of them were funny. We got into some really cool comedies back then, like Mary Tyler Moore was one.
Yeah.
She was absolutely a role model for me. She was one of the people I wanted to be just like her,
Yeah.
you know. And
Independent.
and also because she was pretty, she was very feminine. I wanted
Yeah.
to be just like that, you know.
Yeah.
And did
Interesting.
you have any role model back then that you wanted? Was there somebody on
I
television you wanted?
back in the 70s still would have been Brady Bunch and all that for me. So I
Oh
probably
yeah,
watched
yeah.
a little bit of Mary Tyler Moore, but I probably related more to the Brady Bunches and the Osmond brothers. Oh, the Partridges. Love the Partridge
Oh
Family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched them.
Yeah. And yeah, and then my first crush would have been like I first saw our Tiger Beat magazine. It would have been Bobby Sherman.
Yes, I
Was it
remember.
Julie
Yeah,
Julie? Who else? There's
yeah.
another couple of other guys that, that
Well,
kind of a thing.
David Cassidy.
David Cassidy, yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to
Yep.
think family value. Isn't it funny though? Because when you think about it though, it was like, well, single mom in the Partridge Family. Then we had the Brady Bunch. It was two families coming together.
Hmm.
What other ones did we have? There was, I mean, I'm sure there was plenty. I'm trying to think, what was it? The Eight is Enough. When was that? Was that back in that day or was that after?
That was in the late 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Hmm. That was a good
Yeah,
show. And
yeah,
you saw, culture sort of shifting with
yep,
parents that were either losing, their spouses and
yep,
remarrying and the combinations of the families coming together, but it still expressed, integrity and this business of
right,
working together. Think about what the Brady Bunch was all about. You know,
right.
was it realistic for society? Maybe not, but was it ever,
No, but it was fun. Yeah, yeah,
But
that's
it's
so funny.
interesting because you and I have 3 years in difference. You're three
Hmm.
years behind me, and you're talking about the TV shows that you related to, and just
Yeah, and
that
you were
3 year
older.
difference
Hmm.
could make a difference.
I know. I'm trying to think what else you would have watched because Mary Tyler Moore, I'm wondering if I just wasn't quite allowed to watch it yet. Isn't that funny?
I'm trying to think of some of the shows that were on TV back then. You had a lot of teen stuff. Well, the
Yeah.
Waltons came out, and I loved that
Yes, the
show
Walton, we love that. But I'm thinking like
because it
Sanford
was,
and Son and
yep,
Archie Bunker and all of that
that's
was
right,
around
Effie
that
Bunker.
time
Yeah,
too. Yeah, and
yeah,
I was
yeah.
probably kept away from that.
Please excuse this brief interruption for a shameless commercial. Remember, you can get your own copy of Iris's book, Never Alone, at irisfsmith.com.
But I have
Awesome.
to say that my favorite show back then, because I was always very family oriented, and I think I've told you this before. My dream at one point was to become a nun, so that's where I was at.
Oh, yeah.
But that was until
So
I discovered our friend Ricky, and then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't be a nun.
the flying, were you going to be the flying nun up until then? And then Sally Field, or
I
was
don't
that back
know.
earlier? I don't know. That's so funny. Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
another show
Well,
that was on back then.
yeah, I love that
There
show.
was
Oh
a
my
lot of
gosh.
them.
Yeah, a lot of good shows back then. Sister Patrol. What we turned on the other day, I was actually watching TV. Do you know I've never
Hmm.
watched Murder She Wrote? I had
Oh, I
never
love
seen
that
that. I'm
show.
like, it is so
Yeah.
good. I'm gonna start watching it. I think it's hysterical. Like I totally missed that. Yeah. Well,
Well,
there's a lot of good shows, and I think it had good values back then. You're right.
absolutely, the values. And today, you still have some shows with good values, but we've drifted off a little bit in terms of
Oh yeah.
integrity. And I think we need to bring that back for the sake of the next generation of children so they
Yeah.
can learn to be good people, you know?
Yes. Take
And
care.
yeah, yep. And, back then, what did we do in the 70s? We used to go roller skating. Remember that?
Yeah, we had roller skating rink that we went to. That was a big deal
Yeah.
because then as you got older, they did the get a partner, hold a hand, and go around the rink. That was always good. Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah. And if I thought
we
a
did
boy
that with the
was
youth groups.
Yeah, and if I
Yep.
thought a boy was cute, it was a big deal if he asked me to hold hands and roller skate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely. Can you
I was like, how
imagine?
cool,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I love it. No, I love it. That was cool. We did that. Hula hoops. We were saying, what were we saying? Hula hoops. See, I was still playing hula hoops and jacks. I love it. You said something
Yeah.
about a pogo stick tonight. I'm like, yeah, we had pogo sticks. Back in the day, we could do that. I don't even know if I could hula hoop anymore.
Describe what a hula hoop and a pogo stick is for people that are watching that don't remember, maybe
Oh,
because
you
they don't
think?
have it anymore.
Well, hula hoops have kind of come back around. It's just a big giant, round circle, and it's a tube, and it has some beading in it. So when you take it around your waist like you're doing the hula dance. It goes around and around and around. But I've seen people doing it lately where they're doing like challenges and trying to do like so many rounds of it. It's been like on America's Got Talent, and they're doing it in silly ways. And then a pogo stick. I don't even know how to describe that. It has some type of a spring system. One stick has a place for your feet, and literally you're jumping up and down. So
And your
that was
balance. I
that
had
was
a hard time with the pogo stick,
yeah,
but my brother Alan and my brother Lance could both do that. They were good at
yeah.
it. I had a hard time
No,
with
I
it
remember doing
because
that.
of, yeah. But it's interesting because I can't imagine myself doing a hula hoop now. I would throw my hip out or I throw my back out. I
I
mean,
think it'd be
this is
good for us
I
though.
don't even think I could do that motion.
I think it'll get our waist back. Get it all back. So that'd be great. Yeah. I think about
I'm
it, and
afraid
then
of
like I try something, you know, I try it for two
Karen. I'm
two
afraid.
spins and I'm tired.
I know. Well, the thing is, I do exercise, but I'll tell you what, if I tried something like that, I would throw my back out very, very quickly.
That's so funny.
I'd be afraid of slipping a disc.
Oh, jeez. I know. I'm afraid of falling these days. I don't know about you, but we can think about used to run
Well,
around and
yes.
we go running out in the fields and jumping around. I have to step very gingerly to get off a ledge now. It's pretty
Well,
pathetic.
yes. Remember I
So,
said about Great Wolf Lodge? I fell.
yeah,
Yeah.
scary now. Now like you worry about falling. It's like, oh, that's great. So,
Well, then 2 weeks later, I was at my son's house and I was trying to water some flowers for my daughter-in-law. And I, was trying to get the hose and I kept pulling and pulling and I couldn't get it and nobody was with me. And the whole deck was soaking wet again with the wet. And I fell and I fell hard off of the porch and,
oh,
I'm yelling for help. And my granddaughter, she's 3 years old. She comes out and she's helping and she goes, Grandma, you need to be careful when it's wet. Because this is the second time she
thank you,
saw me
sweetie.
fall out of
Oh
the
my
mouth of
gosh.
babes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I totally get that. My grandkids say to me, Gigi, don't fall all the time. They're like, and then they tell stories about me falling, which is even better. So I'm like, great, thanks. Yeah. Don't fall. Don't break your leg, Gigi. I'm like, okay. I broke my femur broke in the middle of a family function. So, and I snapped my tibia at a different family function. So I apparently do not have good bone density. So
Well, what is your
supposedly,
background?
who the
Your
heck knows?
background is Swedish and Irish.
Yeah. Swedish and
Yeah.
German, actually, believe it or not. But and Irish, some Irish. But it's funny you say that because they say I have good bone density. It's not supposed to. I have no idea why I had the issue. Well, I do know one. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But supposedly I have good bone density. But I have had two breaks in the last so many years. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
you
You
haven't.
know,
You broke.
I broke my leg when I was 13. And
Right. I remember
you remember
that.
you
Yeah.
remember me being in a cast? Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember being itchy.
Yeah, oh, it was very itchy. Back then I had a
Yeah.
cast from my ankle all the way up to my hip. And
Yeah.
I had it like that for like 6 weeks or something, and it was
Ugh.
so itchy.
Yeah. The
I
worst.
thought I was going to lose my mind. I was taking a
Yeah.
stick
Yeah.
and
Yep.
going
Hmm.
like,
I remember jamming it down there and trying to get the itch. Nowadays they just put them on removable, which I think is brilliant. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
you
we've
don't have
come a
to leave it on.
long way, different time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I
Well,
had asked my
the
husband
Russians,
earlier. Yep.
I was just going to say that the Russians got it going on with the bone density, but they tend to
Yeah.
drop dead of heart attacks very early.
Oh, jeez. Okay, pick
You
one,
can't,
right? Just pick one.
I know you can't win. You can't win. All you can do is the best you can do.
Wow, that's terrible. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
No rhyme or
Yeah.
reason. No, I'm trying to keep strong now. Just trying to do the best. Would love to get back to Pilates, and I think that Tai Chi is supposed to be really good for your balance. Have you tried that?
Oh, I do it. I do it every
I do.
day.
Oh, neat. I want to do that. So we'll have to talk
Yeah.
about that afterwards. Okay.
I do these
We'll
videos
share.
and it really helps.
Oh, I love
Helps a
it.
lot.
Neat.
Yeah. I do
Perfect.
stretching and all this stuff, but there's no way that any of that's going to give me a hula hoop to do. So forget it. Let's
All
just,
right, I'm gonna practice the hula hoop. If I get it, I'll send you a video, or maybe I'll make Lila or Eden do it. That'll be great. They can send it, but I'll try. I'll try. We'll get a hula hoop. That'll be funny. So, yeah. Now, the 70s were great. It was just such a time of change and really crazy style-wise. And I do think it is coming back around, which is funny to be talking about it right now. Because as you're
well,
talking
things
about, I'm like, oh my
certainly,
gosh. Yeah.
things do come back around. I wanted to mention something about the 70s that was very, very interesting and fun and cultural at the time. And Well, you had Disneyland out in, Disneyland,
Yep.
out in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, I think it was, I need to look at my book. It was whatever it was. So it was
It'd be
1974,
like
I think.
73, 3 or 74 it opened because I feel like it was just the 50th, wasn't it?
Well, anyway, we went when they first opened. And my brother,
Yes.
Alan, loved to do photography, and he took films of the entire time that we were at Disney World
Oh my
when it
gosh,
first
that is
opened.
so cool.
So
Nice.
we have all these films, these old films that we, digitalized of Disney World when it first opened in Florida, back in the 1970s. Let me see if I can find it in my book because
I
I
know
don't
you had some
remember the
photos.
exact. Yeah,
I
and
want to say
if people are interested, you can go to my website at irisfsmith.com and you can see all those home movies of Disney World when we went there
74.
back in the 1970s when it first opened. We were there a month after it opened, I believe. Let me see if I can
Wow.
find it.
It's amazing. Have you been back to the Florida one in years, over the last years? It
Okay, I'm going to read you
is.
this. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Oh,
when
have
we
you
lived in
been? Have
Florida,
you
we
been
went
back?
there. Yeah, when
Okay,
we
sure.
lived in Florida, we did.
Just
But
keeps
anyway,
growing.
here it is. Yeah, I know it does. So here it is in
Okay.
chapter 11. Okay.
Yep.
In 1971, my family took part in a special and
Oh,
exciting event that I'll
71.
never forget. Disneyland, which first opened its doors July 17th, 1955, made its history once again on October 1st, 1971. That's when
Wow.
we went shortly after that, when Walt Disney World Resort officially opened in Orlando, Florida. Okay, it originally included the Magic Kingdom Park, Disney's Contemporary Resort Hotel, which we had the privilege of
Mm-hmm.
staying in. That was
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
Disney's
Yeah.
Polynesian Resort, Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. And on that particular day, William Windsor Jr. was recorded as the first guest.
Oh,
So we
funny.
must have been the 1,000th guest or something.
Wow. Yeah, that's
It was a
neat.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went
So,
70. That's what I'm thinking. We went in
yeah.
1974 and Space Mountain was just opening up. That's what it was.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
And then
that's what it was.
when my son was 8 and we moved to Florida, me, my husband, and my son, we went to Disney World a lot. That was back in the
I bet.
90s. And things,
That's neat.
that's when they came out with things like the Back to the Future ride because you had the Back to the Future movie.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That trilogy. That was actually my favorite trilogy was the Back to the Future. I love to watch that. I love Michael J.
Oh,
Fox,
fun.
you
Yeah,
know.
I know. He was awesome.
Um,
He had great movies too. And they were family. They were good. Yeah, it was fun family stuff.
weren't they on TV in the late 70s, early 80s? When were they on, do you think? Family
Family
Ties.
Ties, I want to put in
Yeah,
the
with Michael
80s.
J. Fox. Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like, yeah, I feel like I was young married back then. Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I was young and married back then. Isn't that interesting? I don't even know if that ride's still there now. I think it got taken over by Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a really cool ride. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure. My brother, it goes all the time. Christine, they go all the time. I never really did. It was kind of hard to go to Disney all those years. We'd take Ashley, and we'd get to the front of the line because she was in her wheelchair, and then she decided she didn't want to go. We'd have to leave the line, and then we'd all have to leave. I'm like, really? So it was kind of funny. Hmm.
I have a funny story for you about one time when we went when Paul was 8. Paul went off on rides with his friends and another mother, okay, at the
Yeah.
time. And it was just me and Cy, and we decided we wanted to go on the Back to the Future ride, which involved a car, just like, the DeLorean in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you,
yeah,
and to your point, I don't think they have it anymore, or maybe they
yeah.
do, I don't know. Anyway, so we're on this
I don't know.
ride, and I had to use the wheelchair at the time because I was having some
Yeah.
issues with my health. And so in front of us, you had two very older women, like in their 80s, with canes, okay? And you
Yeah.
had me and
Yeah.
Ty, who were in our late 30s, okay?
Oh,
So we're
funny.
sitting
Okay.
behind these ladies, and the whole ride depicted crashing and running into this and running into and flying here and flying. And I came off with whiplash and Cy came off
Yeah.
nauseous from all the motion. And you
Oh,
had the two
I love
ladies
it.
in front of us, and they had no trouble at all. They were just going woohoo! They had no trouble. So the guy that was running the ride looked at us and looked at them, and he was like, "What's wrong with this picture?" Because he had the old ladies in very
Super
good
funny.
shape,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're falling apart in our 30s, you know?
I love it. That's so
It was
funny.
a
Yep.
it was a fun
That is
ride.
pretty funny. I know.
And when I went to the chiropractor, he said to me, "Were you in a car accident?" I said, "I was in one that was simulated one. I went on the Back to the Future ride at Disney World." He
Yeah.
goes, "You have,
Oh,
he goes,
geez.
he says to me, "You
You
have a
got
whiplash
whiplash.
injury." I had a whiplash
That's
injury.
ridiculous. Too funny. I love it. Yeah. I know. I love that stuff though. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, 70s were a great time. I think that we talk about that all the time. Even you talk about growing up in Sharon, what a great town. But I think it's because part of it was that we grew up in the 70s.
Yeah, and they just had their 50th anniversary Disney World not too long ago, and I actually put in to have my films shown because they were really literally when the place had opened. They were like maybe a
Wow.
month into them just being on. And so we have all these films, and like I said, if you guys as viewers would like to see these films,
Yeah.
you can go to my website at irisfsmith.com and see the home movies that we have of Disney World and what it
Yeah.
was like. Alan did a good job, my brother, taking the movies. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
So,
So
what else here?
this is this is memory lane where we're visiting the 70s because we're in our 60s and
Yeah.
we grew up in the 70s.
I know, the 70s. I think we thought we were pretty cool, pretty carefree, a lot of fun. Very thankful that there wasn't really a lot of worry in the air. I think my parents did a great job from shielding us from the Vietnam War in years two. I mean, we knew about
Yeah.
it, but they did the best they could to shield us from it. So, I mean, not like there wasn't crazy things happening in the world like always, but yeah, wow.
But do you remember with the Vietnam War, there were lots of men who were missing in action, and we had these
Hmm.
bracelets that we could
Yeah.
wear
I remember you
until they were
talking about that.
returned home. What were they
Yeah,
called, the
it's
bracelets? Do you
amazing.
remember?
I forget. I know you talked about them because I didn't know about those.
It's in
My
my
husband
book.
talks
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I know it's in the book, and my husband talks about it because he actually had friends. He's older than you, so he's gonna be 3 years older than you, and he had friends that went, and his brother's friends. He had friends that didn't come back. Yeah, so it's crazy when you
Yeah.
think about it.
And the reason it was so, near and dear to our hearts was because of my father and the Korean War
Yeah,
and how he was a
totally.
prisoner of war. Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, we wore those bracelets until they returned home, whether they were
yeah,
returned home and unfortunately,
yeah.
not
And
alive
and
anymore,
yeah, right.
or they were found, alive,
And
but
brought home.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah. A lot of them had really a
yeah,
difficult time when they came back. They really did. They had gone through so much. And I can understand because, again, of what my father went through from the Korean War.
yeah,
When you're a
yeah,
prisoner of war, as long as he was, he just was in very rough shape for the longest time. And it was
yeah.
his mother, his sisters, the people that supported him. And he met my mother at the time. She was helpful in helping to nurse him back to health. And without the help of people around him, he would not have done so well.
Yeah, I
Love
can only
and
imagine.
support.
Yep.
Love and
And
support
family.
works
Yep.
every time. Yeah, and family every time.
Yep. Yep.
That's why
Yep.
we should. The podcast says it all. Never alone podcast. That's why we should never be alone because we
Yeah.
lean on each other. We have each other, and we need the support to get through. Good times and bad times, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Some
Yeah.
things don't change, do they? Nope.
No. And
Mm.
so, unless you have something else to add, we're going to close for now. And
No. Nope. Nope. It was good to talk about. I'm glad to talk about the 70s. I'm going to keep thinking about it. Maybe we'll come up with some more things. I feel like we had some more things that more toys and things we can talk about and some more clothing. But other than that, no, it was really good. And we were very blessed to live around and, be in each other's neighborhood at that time.
yeah, and if you want to learn more about the 70s and what it was like, it's all in my book.
Good. Go for it,
Yeah.
everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we want to thank the viewers for joining us once again. We're delighted to have you. We hope you'll come back to our next segment. And our next segment, we're not sure what the topic will be yet, but it could be another special guest. It could be another topic about history. There's certainly an awful lot to talk about in history for everyone. And I'm a firm believer that we learn from history, and that's why history in high school was my favorite subject. So,
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for joining us, Karen. Thank you again, and it was
Nice
a
to
pleasure to
see
see you
you.
again.
From the
And
East Coast to the West Coast.
I know it, 3,000 miles apart, and we're doing this together because we're not alone, are we?
Never, never alone.
Okay, see you next time. Thanks again.
All right. Bye. Love you.
Yep, you too. Bye bye.
Wow, that was awesome, wasn't it?
I know those stories were really something.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time when we share more stories from Iris's book, Never Alone.
Order your copy of Never Alone at irisfsmith.com today.